Testing. Okay. Hello everyone. This is the first online lesson for S2 geography. Today I'm going to talk about that would be we're going to continue our study for Unit 4.5. So therefore, students, please prepare your textbook, your school annals, and also, of course, your computer, the browser. Okay. So for the information. Okay. Right now, we're going to start with our textbook, Unit 4.5. What problems does drought bring to China? If I remember correct, actually, for most classes, we have already started this topic. So therefore, I'm not going to start, okay? So for at the beginning, and I'll do the brief introduction. Okay, so I hope you still remember some definition, especially for the drought. Okay, for the drought, remember that is when rainfall in an area that is much lower than the normal or there is a long period without rainfall. That is what we call drought. Uh, Make sure you still remember that drought doesn't equal to dried. Okay, when we talk about drought, we always refer to there must be there must be what we call the water shortage. Okay, water shortage. So therefore, why there could be the water shortage, as there will be some demand for water, the populations. Okay, so for oops, for the definition, okay, we have mentioned during the lesson. Okay, from this map, you can see that like in northern, southern, or southwestern part of China. Okay, so these areas that experience droughts frequently. As I mentioned in the lesson, it is because those places with large population. Therefore, the demand for water that would be much higher, especially than the supply of the river. So therefore, there will be the result of the water shortage and then drought that may usually occur in this place. So don't mix the concept of drought and dry. If you look at your textbook, okay, for this map, you can see that in the northwestern part of China, like in Xinjiang, okay, the problem of drought that is not very serious. Why? It is because the demand for water in this area would be relatively low, okay, therefore, that would not be a very serious water shortage. So that is why we won't call this, or we may not regard this as drought. Okay, so therefore, we may move to the next part. Okay, like what are the harmful effects of drought in China? For this part, I'm not going to repeat in this video as we have already mentioned in the lessons. So therefore, I'll just skip this part. Okay, and if you do not memorize well, for this part, I don't think that is a problem for you to do your own revision. Okay, so as the concept that is relatively straightforward. So therefore, we may move to the next part. Okay, so what are the causes of drought in China? So for the causes of drought in China, we can divide into two parts. Okay, so they are the physical factor and also the human factors. For physical factor, that is just one explanation, one very, very simple explanation. That is when the wet summer monsoon that come late, or when the dry winter monsoon come early than normal. So therefore, the rainfall received in a place that is just less than the average. So therefore, drought may occur. So therefore, that is the only physical factor as like rainfall, okay, would be uh, the major element that may affect the water supply. And next, we're going to talk about then what would be like the human factor that may lead to drought. So for the human factor, we should note that when we talk about like human factor, so just now we talk about the definition of drought, okay? So that it means like water shortage, that is when the demand for water larger than the supply of water. For the physical factor, for the rainfall, okay, so it is about like the supply of water. And for human factor, that is just another point that affect the demand, okay, affect the demand of water. So therefore, how, okay, the following human activities that may affect the demand of water. Okay, so let's have a look. The first one, again, very straightforward. That is when the demand for water that increase, and what could be the reason when the population size is getting larger or higher, okay, as well as economic development, as well as the development or economic development. Okay, so therefore the demand for water would be huge. So I hope you still remember we have studied in unit 4.1. Okay, like what could be the use of water. There could be a lot of use of water, no matter for domestic use, industrial use, and also agriculture, that is for farming. Okay, so therefore, when the demand for water that is huge, okay, especially there's a lot of people, so the population size that is huge, so that may lead to the drought, okay, especially in some densely populated area, such as like what we can see in our textbook, like the lower Huanghe Basin, okay, lower Huanghe Basin. In dry years, the high demand for water intensify, okay? So please highlight this word, intensify the water shortage problem there. Okay, I remember I have mentioned during the lesson that is like, do we, okay, like in Hong Kong, do we experience drought? Not exactly. It is because the supply of water in Hong Kong actually that would be sufficient for us to fulfill or to satisfy our demand as we import water from mainland China. Okay, but in mainland China, actually they do face the water shortage, especially in the lower Wanghe Basin. Uh, I hope you still remember when we compare or when we have the look for the overall waterfall, okay, in China, okay. So for Wanghe, that is like much lower. The flow, I mean, much lower than Changjiang. So therefore, even Wanghe will be one of the large river in mainland China, but the water flow, the annual flow, that is not very large. So therefore, in the lower cost, such as like some big city in the big cities like Beijing or Tianjin, okay, so the demand for water would be very huge. So that's why we would say in the lower Huanghe Basin, the people that may experience water shortage and then drought that may occur. Okay, then next human factor. So that would be like deforestation. For deforestation, actually, we have already studied in the previous unit. For deforestation, it may lead to flooding, and then in this unit, we will say deforestation that may also lead to drought. Okay, what could be the explanation? It is because if people cut the trees, okay, so that may affect the water cycle, that may negatively affect the water cycle, that may change the process of water cycle. So you should know that after deforestation, like transpiration from the trees that may decrease. Okay, transpiration decrease. On the other hand, infiltration that decrease. Therefore, there will be less soil moisture. And then I hoped, okay, you should also note when the infiltration that decrease in the hold. So one or the next, we may say that the groundwater, okay, the groundwater, or you may write it down, here. So you should note like the groundwater, okay, in the area that may also decrease, okay. So therefore, one of the extra supply of the water for human, okay, that will also decrease. And then on the whole, oops, evaporation from the ground, okay, evaporation from the ground decrease in the long run, okay, long run. It is necessary for you to highlight this in the long run. Why? It is because after deforestation, for the whole region, okay, for the whole region, so the long-term precipitation that may, here in your textbook, it mentioned evaporation first. Evaporation from the groundwater that may decrease in the long run. So therefore, what should be the implication? That would be the next, the atmosphere in the area will become dry, then precipitation decrease. So therefore, we may say in long term, this area after deforestation, it will become drier. So drier, less precipitation, then then no water. The water supply that may decrease. So in the future there could be drought, okay, if we do not like change the water consumption pattern. So if the demand for supply that remain the same. So therefore, deforestation. Remember, for deforestation, you must refer, okay, to the concept of water cycle. You must refer to the concept of water cycle. It is because every time when we talk about like water cycle, okay, so or we talk about like deforestation, we should note how the process of water cycle will be affected or changed. Then there could be like that may lead to the water problem such as drought or flooding. Okay, then after deforestation, like what would be the major human factor that may lead to drought? That would be the misuse of water resources. Okay, the misuse of water resources. For misuse of water resources, for that part, mainly we talk about like the I would say like farming process. Okay, farming process. Why? It is because in the following, we're going to talk about like how the farming process that may affect, okay, or that may not exactly affect, that may negatively affect the groundwater, groundwater storage in the country. So let's have a look. First, we may say that like the price of water in China that would be low. Uh, I'm not quite sure if it is correct, but normally, so the price of water in some countries that is not that high, or we can look at the examples like in Hong Kong. So the price of water that is extremely low, extremely low. So therefore, we are facing the similar problems. That is, many people are not aware of the importance of the water conservation and waste much water. So we waste water, yes. In mainland China, people waste water, but how? Or you may ask, like, if you waste water at home, will it lead to drought? Okay, for the whole region, for the whole country. Okay, so of course no, of course no. So therefore, for this part, that is, we need to talk about what could be the major or the how do we say it? Like the most significant activities that may lead to the waste of water or the misuse of water resources here. I would say that is related to some farming process, or especially so what we call like irrigation. Okay, so how farmers use the water to irrigate their farm. So for the traditional way, you may look at in your textbook. So how does farmer irrigate their farm? They would use like this one, flood irrigation. Flood irrigation actually that require no technologies or no skills. They will just pull the water, okay, into the farm and then let the farm to be flooded and let the crops absorb the water. So this is what we call like flood irrigation. But what would be the first? What could be like the advantage of using flood irrigation? First, just now I've mentioned it requires no technologies. Okay, it requires no skills. So therefore, everyone can do this. But for flood irrigation, actually, that would waste a lot of water. Waste a lot of water. So therefore, if we say it wastes water compared to what other method? Okay, in your textbook, okay, you can see that flood irrigation use 30% more water than the sprinkler. Okay, so you may highlight sprinkler, sprinkler irrigation. So for sprinkler irrigation, that is more common, okay, in our lives. You can see that in the park, okay, you can see that in the park or in some farms like in Hong Kong. But in the foreign country, actually, you can see that most farm actually they would use sprinkled irrigation. For for some more developed countries such as like USA or like in Saudi Arabia, they even applied some more advanced irrigation methods such as like the drip irrigation. We're going to talk about drip irrigation later, okay? So therefore, flood irrigation that wastes a lot of water, and then one you should note that is sometimes in the farm or in some backward village, okay, as the equipment that is quite old or that is not just happen in the less developed country but also in more developed country, even in the society, okay, we are living. Leakage, okay, so that may occur. Or if leakage occurred in the farming activities or in the irrigation channel, okay, that may waste more water. That may waste more water. Uh, I remember before in the lessons I've discussed with the student, I've asked whether you know, okay, your water bill at home. Sometimes, okay, if the water bill that is much more expensive than normal, okay, so there could be two reasons. One, it could be that like you consume more water, and the second one, it could be there could be some problems about the pipes, okay, at home or in your building, okay, that could be the leakage. I would say for the leakage in the farm, it could be common. It could be common. So therefore, especially in mainland China, okay, so that may lead to the waste of water. So therefore, that would be the third human factors that may lead to drought. And then we continue like how the farming process that may lead to drought, that is like even building reservoir along rivers, okay, building a reservoir along river, what in the upstream area, so that may be like the misuse of water resources. Why? It is because for building reservoir in the upper stream, okay, if the upstream area. So what could be the explanation? So it means people that may consume more water, or we may say there could be like more waste. So therefore, especially during the dry period, the poor water management may cause water shortage in the downstream area. downstream area. So that is when there's a reservoir in the upstream area, of course, they would consume more water. That may lead to more waste. Then what happened to the lower cost, to the downstream area? They have less water to use. Okay, they have less water to use. Okay, then for the next human factor that may lead to drought. Okay, that is use of uh, the use of groundwater. Okay, the use of groundwater. Overdrawing groundwater. It means the people consume too much groundwater. So when the surface water resources are scarce, okay, are scarce in the northern China, therefore overdrawing groundwater is common there, especially in the place such as like Beijing and Tianjin, okay, as the demand for water will be higher. So please mark for overdrawing groundwater. What would be the major use of the water? Of course, that is also like for the domestic use, domestic use, industrial use, and just now I've explained, or the agriculture, or for the farming. So when people use more water in all aspect, so the water shortage, okay, that could be intensified. That could be intensified. And then for the last one, why or how, okay, so the water or the drought problem that may occur, of course, water pollution. For water pollution, that is a little bit different from the human factor we have just explained. For water pollution, you should mark that that may affect. Okay, remember that may affect. That should be the supply of water. It is because if the pollution problem that is more serious, it means that we have less clean water to use. So therefore, we would say that may affect the supply of the water. Okay, so like domestic industrial farming activities produce more sewage, okay, and those sewage discharged into the river or lakes, okay, without treatment, okay, so that would further reduce the supply of the fresh water. So if you look at your textbook, right there, okay, you can see that, you can see that, okay, remember, this is not the Arctic area. This is not the Arctic area. This is the here. Okay, that is the water pollutants discharged from the factories. For this case, that would be like in right, like the iceberg. Okay, so I remember I've shown you some photos. Okay, about some water pollution in different color, such as like in orange, green, or red, something like that. Okay, so let's have a look about some water pollution, okay, in mainland China, okay, before we move to the next part. Okay, and if you really want to note some pollution case, okay, you may just search water pollution in China. Yes, water pollution in China. And you click like the image, you can see that some problems, okay, in the country. For example, this one, okay, that is not the red wine, that would be the pollutants, okay. This one in red, and then yes, you can see the rubbish there, okay, and there will be a lot of image. And like for this one, okay, this is not the grassland. That is some, I believe that would be like the green algae, okay, in the river, in the river, okay. And of course, the orange, and I think some student, okay, they remember this photo. Okay, so I used to show this photo to demonstrate to show the water pollution in mainland China. Okay, so you can see that that could be like some algae. So therefore, the poor water quality, okay, in the country. Okay, right now, we're going to move to the next part. That is like, how can we solve the problem? Okay, how can we solve the problem in the country? Like, how can we solve the problem in the country? Okay, so that would be on your textbook, page 43. Page 43. So for the solution of solving drought in the country, we should have that is similar to what we have learned in like flooding. Okay, in like flooding, we for flooding we consider the capacity and the river flow of the river. So therefore, we deal with these two elements. But for drought, again, there will be two elements. Just now, I hope you still remember like what is drought. That is when the demand for water much larger than the supply of water that caused water shortage. So therefore, when we want to solve the problem, again, the two ways we can do that is first, we have to reduce the demand for water. On the other hand, we can increase the supply. Okay, so therefore, the two directions. So how we can first reduce the demands for water? Okay, first, just now we can see that there could be a lot of wastage in the farming activities. So therefore, for the first method, we're going to learn that would be how can we save water on farms? Okay, save water on farms. For saving water on farms, that could be complicated, or I would say that could be a little bit difficult for you to understand, as we're not farmer, and you do not have much chance to visit a farm. So therefore, for this part, it could be a little bit difficult for you to understand. But I would say that could be interesting. That could be interesting. Okay, it is because we can learn some technologies or we can learn some skills. Okay, in farming aspect. Okay, first, how can we save water on farm? If you look at this paragraph for line 2, okay, we can apply some water saving technologies. Okay, water saving technology to conserve water resources. So therefore, what could be like the water saving technologies? Okay, so you may have a look, okay, for the method first. First, drip irrigation. Okay, for drip irrigation, for this one, please mark a star for this one. This is important. This is very important for drip irrigation. It is because drip irrigation actually that is some most advanced irrigation techniques like in the society or in the community right now. Okay, it required high level of technologies. It require high level of skills. So what is and then what is like drip irrigation? For drip irrigation in Chinese we can call it like 滴灌. Okay, so it means that we're going to provide the water, or we're going to do the irrigation like drip by drip. In your textbook, you can see that. Okay, that is a photo. That is a photo that shows the drip irrigation. Okay, the drip irrigation there. Okay, so what would be like the drip irrigation? What could be like the this color that's not very clear. So what would be like the installation of this drip irrigation? You may have a look that could be like it is. I type it wrong again. Okay, it should be here. It should be here. Okay, so what is exactly like drip irrigation? Drip irrigation, you may understand that that could be like this. So imagine that that could be the ground, okay? So here that is the layer of the soil, and then there could be the crops, okay, crops. So for drip irrigation, that could be like this. First, the farmer would install like a pipeline, okay? So as low or as close as to the ground, and then there could be some small holes in the pipe. And for the irrigation system, they will use computer to control the time and the amount of irrigation. Then how the water will be delivered to the crops. That is, there could be the hole close to the soil, and then at a certain time, okay, so the water will be provided to the crops drip by drip, okay. They won't do the irrigation on the top of the crops. It is because uh, you should know that the major part for the crops or for vegetation to absorb water, it should be the root. It should be the root. It should be the roots there. So therefore, for drip irrigation, okay. So the farmer aims to provide the water directly, okay, to the crops that absorb water. So what would be the purpose? That is to reduce the moisture loss, okay, reduce the moisture loss. So therefore, it can help to save some water. So that's why you can see that for the implications for drip irrigation, that could be a little bit complicated. Then, then, what could be the limitation for that method? That is, it will be expensive. It could be a little bit difficult to install. Okay, difficult to install. So therefore, drip irrigation, to a certain extent, it can help to reduce the demand. Okay, reduce the demand for water. Okay, then the next water saving technology. So the farmer can carry out leakage prevention work. Okay, leakage prevention. So that could be just like the regular checking or maintenance. Okay, to prevent the leak. Okay, for the pipe. Okay, that would be the work. Okay, so therefore, I don't think that would be difficult to understand. Then for the third one, reduce evaporation of soil water. Okay, so this one, I will also mark a star here, as you can see that in figure 6. So what would be like this part? Reduce evaporation of soil water. You may look at figure 6 again. You may look at the figure 6 again. You can see the pipe. You can see the pipe. You can also see here what they called like the farmer that could use the plastic film, okay, plastic film to reduce the soil or no, reduce the evaporation of soil water. So what would be the concept of this? So again, this is very simple. This time I will use like pink, okay, for the demonstration of plastic film. That is, uh, you may look at the diagram I've just drawn, okay. So the black line would be the pipe for drip irrigation, and what will be the plastic film? So the farmer would put a layer of the plastic film, okay, a layer of the plastic film on top of the soil like this, like this, like this. Why? It is because it is because when the sunlight when the sunlight shines on the ground, okay, in theory there should be like the evaporation from soil. But when the farmer placed the plastic film above the soil, so therefore that may block, okay, the moisture. So the water that could be kept inside the soil for a longer time. So therefore, that is a very, very simple method, but effective method to reduce the loss of moisture. Okay, then the last one. What would be like the water saving technology? So that could be like some drought resistant crops. Okay, so the farmer could grow some drought resistant crops. Okay, as those drought resistant crops, why we would say call this drought resistant? It is because they consume less water. Okay, what could be the example of the drought resistant crops such as like peanuts or the sweet potato? So in general, they consume less water. So this is like how or what we can do in the farm in order to reduce the use of water. So reduce demand for water, okay, save water on farm. Then the second one, the second one. Okay, when after we saved the use of water in the farm, then we're going to talk about like how can we save or how can we reduce the water wastage, okay, in other aspect. Just now we have mentioned in farming how can we use water saving technology. Then for the next part, reduce water wastage. This one that would be mainly for the other two areas such as like domestic and also in industrial 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 sector. Okay, so let's have a look. So how can we reduce, okay, the water wastage? For the first one, we can use like education to teach people about way to save water, increase the public awareness of the importance of water conservation, and promote the use of water saving equipment. Okay, water saving equipment. For that one. Okay, remember this is mainly for wait, wrong color. That is mainly domestic 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 sector. So if you have your water bill, okay, actually there's always a message, okay, to remind you to save some water. Okay, so that could be about our awareness. So therefore the government can do this. The government can do this. And then for the second one, increase water increasing water charge. Okay, increasing water charge. This can discourage people from using much water. This one, please mark, that is especially, I would say, especially for the industrial sector. As if the water price would be higher, so therefore the production costs for the factory that may increase a lot. So therefore, that is more issue for increasing water charges. That is more significant for the industrial sector. Okay, for the domestic sector. So for these measures, I would say that would be less significant. Less significant. And then the last one, how we can reduce water wastage. Okay, so that is to pass the law. Okay, again for this one, that is especially for industrial sector, like a factory, are forced to shut down. So this time, not really to discourage them to use less water, but force them to close. Okay, if they do not comply with the water saving regulations. So therefore, all these measures, okay, so that would be promoted or mainly carried out by the government. Okay, in order to reduce the water wastage in the society. Okay, so therefore, that is how can we deal with the demand for the water? And then for the next one, I hope you still remember when we want to solve the problem of drought, we need to reduce the demand, we need to increase the supply. Just now we have finished the demand part, then we need to talk about what should be the supply part. Okay, for the supply of to increase the supply, okay, of the water or the clean water or fresh water supplied. Okay, so in your textbook there would be like 6 measures, okay, 6 ways to increase the supply of clean water. So let's have a look. Okay, so that is not complicated. First, the government can help to build some drainage or to build some facility to collect more rainwater. Collect more rainwater. If we want to collect rainwater, one would be very useful. That is like reservoir, like in Hong Kong. Okay, so few decades ago, so we experienced drought. Okay, in the country. So therefore, the Hong Kong government actually start to build uh, a lot, not exactly a lot, but several reservoirs, okay, in order to save the water, okay, save the rainwater for the human use. So in the text for that one, you can see it mentioned it can help to save flood water, okay, in other reservoir through the pipelines for use during drought. Okay, so I would say no matter if it is like flood water or rainwater reservoir, it can help to store water, and then we can use this during the drought period or during the dry period. Like in Hong Kong, if you go hiking, if you go to the country park, you can also see a lot of reservoir. Okay, in our living areas, in Hong Kong Island, such as like 薄扶林啦，OK，薄扶林水塘啦，OK，大潭啦，OK，and the two largest reservoir in Hong Kong, like the High Island Reservoir and also the Provost Cove Reservoir, 萬宜水庫啦，同埋船灣淡水湖. So therefore, the building reservoir actually that could be a very effective way to help us to or to store the clean water for the use. And then for number 3, that could be a little bit new for you. So increase the rainfall through crowd seeding. Okay, crowd seeding. Crowd seeding. For crowd seeding in Chinese, we may call it 播雲. You can understand that it's like the artificial rainfall. Okay, so we would use the airplane. We will use the airplane. Okay, and then to spread some chemicals in the atmosphere. And for those chemical, what would be the use? Remember, that is the chemical, that is not the water when we talk about like cloud seeding. And the purpose of cloud seeding, that is to, you may write it down, that is to increase the evaporation. Okay, it can help to increase the evaporation in the area. So it can increase the precipitation. And that kind of precipitation, we may call it artificial rain. So we may do this during a very serious drought. But I would say for crowd seeding, normally we would regard this that is relatively short term. Okay, that's relatively short term compared to the first and the second method. The third method of the crowd seeding, remember, relatively short term. And then, okay, the next, how can we increase the supply of clean water? This one, okay, control water pollution, such as like the treat sewage, sewage treatment. If we can control the water pollution, it means that we can have more clean water. We can have more clean water. Okay. And after after the sewage treatment, we can use back the water again. So therefore, there will be some new new skills. That is what we call like used recycled water. Recycled water in Chinese we may call it like 再生水. It means recycle the waste. We recycle the water. So after the sewage treatment, the water will be clean enough to be drunk again. And in Hong Kong, do we have that kind of recycled water? Not exactly, not exactly. So for recycled water, that is more famous in like United Kingdom and also in Singapore. Singapore. In your textbook, okay, at the bottom, you will see, okay, you will see some case or some experience of the recycled water in China, and you may have a look. So what would be like the use of recycled water in mainland China? In mainland China, so for recycled water, I would say that is not clean enough for the people to drink the water again. But but the recycled water, it could be used for different purposes such as like irrigation, washing cars, or even like flushing toilet, flushing toilet. So for this, actually, it can help to reduce. Oh no, not reduce. It can help to yes, that should be the reduce to reduce the use of the clean water. Of course, those recycled water that could be also the clean water, but as that is not clean enough to drink, then we can save some clean fresh water for drinking for human use. So therefore, recycled water, that would be some new development directions, okay, for the country. So here, let's have a look. Let's have a look. What would be the development of the recycled water in other countries? So I'm going to show you the examples like in Japan. You may have a look. Okay, for Japan, recycled water, it should be this one. Yes.
废水就是水资源，风调雨顺的日本也喊出这样的口号。答案很简单，近60年前，日本人口飙高，用水拉警报，政府不得不绞尽脑汁，到处找水，念头动到了下水道。自1984年起推行再生水。
トイレ用水、トイレを流すときに使う水ですとか、集計用の水として、河川の復活なんかはそれに該当すると思います。
仔细看，冲马桶水质略带黄色。位于新宿的洛河水再生中心以身作则，2套供水系统，洗手用自来水，马桶用再生水。
So therefore, you can see like in Japan, they would use the recycled water for flushing toilet. I hope you still remember. I've shown you a video before to talk about like the case in Hong Kong. Actually, there's still some people use the fresh water in Hong Kong to flush the toilet, and I would say that is a really waste. That is a really waste. So therefore, like in Japan, okay, they use the recycled water to flush the toilet.
特做的黄金走过下水道，回到再生水厂，就成了生活上都能用到的黄金水资源。
最近の3基板では高密度にこれを密度に、いっぱいですね、これを多く敷きまして、で空気の泡をちっちゃい泡を出して溶け込みを良くしてます。
一探水再生中心的内部核心，闻不到臭味，把污水变干净，秘诀都在泡泡里。下水道里的污水呢，进到了微生物反应时呢，就会变成我手中现在的这个样子哦。这个水里面呢，充满了好氧的细菌，它们会把水中的杂质给全部的吃光光。
Okay, so for this one, don't worry, I'll place the link to you. Okay, so you may watch the whole video later. And then one more I'd like to show you. Then what about the case of the recycled water, like in Hong Kong? Okay, so for this one, you may have a look. That would be the example in
超
Hong
過咗
Kong.
啦800毫米，係
Okay,
都
you
係出
may
路
have
呢？
a look.
淡再生水會唔會都係出路呢？香港係全球少數用海水沖廁嘅地方，不過喺遠離海嘅地區，例如人口有成30萬嘅新界北區，就仍然用緊淡水沖廁，佔全港用水量嘅8%。呢啲用水有冇其他代替品呢？2006年，政府喺大嶼山昂坪同上水石湖墟推行再造水試驗計劃。再造水就係指經過處理同消毒嘅污水，可以用嚟沖廁、淋花、清潔等等。
你係？
我嚟幫你慳啲㗎。
你係乜水啊？
我啊係經過多重處理、從環製造嘅再生水，安全有檢疫㗎。
澳門舊年制定咗10年計劃，目標係2022年再造水佔總用水量嘅1成。而力求水資源獨立嘅新加坡，再造水 New Water 更加佔供水量嘅3成。睇返香港，政府開始規劃喺粉嶺、上水同新界東北新發展區用再造水沖廁，但幾時落實就仍然未知。
嗱，供水系統要開源節流啦，我哋個人層面都可以做啲嘢噶咯。嗱，講下個人用水啦，每人每日用幾多水啦？香港人咁啊，如果用呢隻杯計啦，每人每日唔計沖廁水，淨係計家居用水咧，每人每日就用咗130公升，亦即係話有500杯咁多嘅水啊！又或者係7個呢啲樽咁多嘅水，每人每日喎。
Okay, so therefore, you can see that like the use of water or even like the recycled water in Hong Kong, there will be some information. For the program, I will show you, I will provide the link to you later, okay? So therefore, let's see, that is how for some countries or even like in mainland China, they would use like the recycled water to increase the water supply. Okay, and then the last one, how can we increase the water supply in the society? The last one there, that would be what we call desalination. Okay, desalination. What we call 海水化淡啦。We change the salty water from the sea. We change the seawater to the fresh water. So the concept that would be we change the seawater to fresh water. Why don't we do that right now? It is because the cost that would be a little bit high. I may tell you these measures or this work actually we carried out in Hong Kong few decades ago, but as that would be a little bit expensive, so therefore we closed the factory, okay, for that one, and we directly import the water from mainland China. So therefore sometimes it is necessary for us to consider whether it should be another option for us to increase the supply of clean water, but this is important, especially like in mainland China. So therefore, that would be about some ways to increase the supply, okay, of the water in the region. For the case in mainland China, you may have looked by yourself, and then this is like how we can solve the problem, okay? Oh no, how can we ease the problem? A large-scale water project to solve the problem of drought. Okay, when we talk about like flooding, we study the Shansha project. Then when we talk about like drought, okay, we have another large-scale water project, okay, that is called the South-North Water Transfer Project. 南水北調啦。 Okay, 南水北調 South North Water Transfer Project. So what will be the South North Water Transfer Project? The government tried to build some channels, okay, build some channels to transfer the water from the south to the north. And I hope you can write it down here. From the south to the north, actually that could be a little bit difficult to understand. Where should be the south? Where should be the north? So you should mark this down, okay? For the south, okay, it means Changjiang. It means Changjiang. It means Changjiang. For north, it means Wanghe. It means Wanghe. Okay. It is because most water resources we can find in the country, it should be like in Changjiang. Okay. That is more than 50% of the water flow. Okay. Yeah, and then for Wanghe, why we need to transfer water to Wanghe? Just now we mentioned as the demand in the lower Huanghe basin that will be high, as there like two big cities there, Beijing and also Tianjin. Okay, so therefore the demand will be high. So therefore, the government aims to transfer the water from Changjiang, okay, to Wanghe, to Wanghe. Okay, and what would be like the purpose or like the advantage of this project? So this project actually it can help to provide a reliable and clean source of water to support the daily use and economic activities in the northern China. Okay, you should know we want to solve the problem of the drought in the northern China, in the northern China. Okay, and then what would be the benefit? Okay, besides providing reliable and clean water resources. Okay, like the Shansha Dam, the South North Water Transfer Project, it is also like a large-scale multi-purpose water project. So besides, okay, to provide a reliable water supply to the north, it can also like improve water transport. Okay, so it can improve the water transport on the Grand Canal. Grand Canal, I'll talk about it later. So let's have a look about the other advantage first. With more water, more farmland can be opened up. Okay, can be opened up. It means more land could be used, or we can open up more farmland. Okay, it can increase the output of agriculture. And the increase in water supply can help to maintain the wetland, okay, maintain the wetland and the river ecosystems, as there will be more water. So the land or the river will not be, it will not become the cut off, okay, especially during the dry period. So therefore, it can help to maintain the wetland or river ecosystem. And okay, right now let's have a look what would be like the Grand Canal. Okay, for the Grand Canal, you can see that the Chinese names for the Grand Canal, okay, that would be like Kinh Hong Wen Ho. Okay, Kinh Hong Wen Ho, what is that? What is that? You can note the locations, okay, just by the name. Kinh, it means like Beijing, Peking. Hong, Hangzhou. That is the canal, okay, connect Beijing to Hangzhou. And you can see that in the map. Wait, in the map in your textbook here. In the map in your textbook here. Okay, okay, let's see. Oh no, we cannot. I cannot write down when I enlarge this. Okay, you can see that. So the Grand Canal. So Beijing and also Hangzhou, Jinghong Wenho. Actually, that is for this one. That is for this one. Okay. So if you study Chinese history, you should know this. Okay. So this canal actually that was built by 隋炀帝下江南啦，起大運河啦，大運河 actually that would be this 京杭運河 Grand Canal. When we talk about like the South North Water Transfer Project, we should know that where should be this project? Where should be this South North Water Transfer Project? For the South North Water Transfer Project, it can be divided into 3 routes. Okay, so in this map you can see that the 3 route: west route, central route, and also east route. Okay, in Chinese we may call it 呢個西線、中線同埋東線。Okay, so that will be the 3 different parts for the water transfer. Okay, so therefore for you, I would say you just memorize and you just know that there will be 3 routes. It will be enough. Okay. For the detail, you're not going to study, but I'm going to do some explanation to you. For west route, that is still under planning, as the west route actually that is carried out in a little bit west in mainland China. If you know that for this place, that is the Xizang and also Qinghai. Okay, the relief there that is relatively rugged, and the project or the that would be, I would say, difficult to carry out some that kind of project. So therefore, that is still under planning. Okay, then for the central route. Okay, so that would be in operation already. Okay, central route. So for central route, you may mark there is one very important place you should know that. Okay, for this South North Water Transfer Project. Okay, that is here. Okay, 丹江口 Dam, 丹江口水壩. Okay, so that is a place that is very important for the central route. Why it is important? I will explain it later. And then for the east route, that is along the Grand Canal. Okay, so to transfer the water from the south, from Changjiang to Wanghe. So therefore, that is about the major information or the background information for this project. So therefore, at last, let's have a look. Since that we have mentioned that this project, it may bring lots of benefit, like provide reliable or clean water sources, improve water transport, more farmland will be opened up, okay, or to maintain the ecosystems or river ecosystem, something like that. Similar to the case of Shansha Dam, okay, there should be some problems. So let's have a look what are the problems of this project. Okay, for this project, is the project problem free? Okay, problem free? Of course not. For this project, similar to the Shansha Dam, that create lots of problems. So let's have a look what would be the problems created by this project. The first one, I would say, okay, we may have a look, okay, on the left-hand side. So this project is very costly. So the construction costs, and also the relocation costs. Actually, this is also very, very huge. Okay, similar to like the Shansha project. So remember, when we talk about when you're going to do your test or examination, if you want to express the limitation of the project, don't just tell me that the project is expensive. No, don't do that. You should tell me like the construction cost or the relocation costs that will be high. it would be better if you can tell me like the amount. Okay. So therefore, similar to the Shansha Dam, okay, the construction cost and the relocation cost would be high. Okay, and then the next one, what should be like the limitation of the water project? Okay, on the left-hand side, we talk about left-hand side first. Okay, the Danjiangkou Dam is heightened. This causes flooding of a large area. Large number of people have to be relocated. Danjiangkou Dam is heightened. It causes flooding of a large area. So that is similar to what we have learned in Shansha Dam. That is, if there's more water that need to be transferred to the north, it means that some places should be should stored water. For those places, that would be very, very obvious. The water level would increase. One of the case that would be like in this Danjiangkou Dam. So after this project, after the government started to transfer the project, transfer the water to the north, as some water need to be stored, okay, behind the dam, behind this Danjiangkou Dam, that lead to flooding. So that lead to the drought of a large area. That's why we can see that similar to the case of Shansha Dam, large number of people have to be relocated. Okay, so there's therefore money. So they need to spend a lot for that one for the relocation. Okay, then the second one. Okay, the hydroelectric power generation in Changjiang Basin. Okay, in Changjiang Basin will be affected. It is because after we transfer the water to the north, from the south to the north, there should be less water in the south. Then the hydroelectric power generation that may be affected. So I think that would be easy to understand. And also the diversion of the route past some polluted tributaries. Okay, water that is diverted may be polluted. We may say that when the government transferred water from the south to the north, okay, so the water that may pass through some places with like factories, or sometimes that may be with the sewage, and water pollution that could occur. So therefore, after that, the fresh water transferred to the north, it cannot be used anymore as they are polluted already. So therefore, some may say that may lead to like even like the wastage of the water. So it is necessary for us to consider that. For this situation, I will show you the video. And then the last one, what could be like the problems, okay, of the south-north water transfer project? Somehow, okay, like this one, you may say this is in Changjiang, okay, and this one that is also in Changjiang, okay. So with less water, the natural habitats, okay, along the Changjiang is threatened. Okay, so that is similar to the previous point. That is, there will be less water, okay, in Changjiang. So therefore, that would be about the like the benefit or the limitation or the problem caused by the project. Okay, so right now let's have a look. What could be the problem, okay, of the south-north water transfer project? Okay, let's have a look. Okay, this is about the water pollution. Okay, you may have a look.
重污染。南水北調變致癌工程。 號稱全球規模最大嘅南水北調工程，喺水源嚴重污染嘅情況之下，可能變成全球最大嘅致癌工程啊！
Just a moment, okay. So there is some problems, okay. So you can't see the full screen. So therefore, let's do it again. The screen that is relatively small. The screen that is relatively small. So but you can pay attention to the audio.
嘅湖北丹江口水
Okay, so let's do it again.
源嚴重污染，南水北調變致癌工程。號稱全球規模最大嘅南水北調工程，喺水源嚴重污染嘅情況之下，可能變成全球最大嘅致癌工程啊！工程嘅東線同中線明年正式通水，但係中央電視台就報導，水源之一嘅湖北丹江口水庫，垃圾同屎水橫流，陝西嘅污水直接排入江，倒流渠變臭水溝啊！ 經過鑑定之後嘅水質、地址連用嚟灌溉都唔達標，而上個月底國家疾控中心就更加承認，嚴重污染嘅淮河流域有一大片癌症村，數目達到459條，而且有不斷增多嘅趨勢啊！河南沈丘縣黃孟營嘅村民劉玉芝，因為飲用過受到污染嘅水，患上骨癌。呢個縣1年嚟已經有1700幾人患癌死亡。 而喺不足1000人嘅安徽下灣村，更加有200人患上癌症，1/3嘅人有肝炎。負責工程嘅官員都話，要保證水源質量，仲有好長嘅路要走。
Okay, so therefore, that would be about some news. Okay, so don't worry. For the video, I will save it in Google Classroom. Okay, so therefore. That is about the project, and I would say this is about the unit. This is about the unit 4.5, and after these lessons, okay. So student, can you please finish the exercise on page 46 right there, and also the unit summary. The unit summary, okay. So we will check it later. We will check it later. Okay, so therefore, that is about this online lesson. Okay, so this is the first online lesson. So I'm going to make more lessons videos in the future. So therefore, remember to pay attention to the Google Classroom, or you may subscribe my YouTube channel right here, okay. And then next time you will see my live streaming, and you can also ask some question during the lessons. Okay, so therefore that is the end about this section. Okay, so I will see you in the future. Okay, yes, I'll see you in the future. I think next time we may talk about another topic that would be for the desertification. Okay, so that would be about unit 10. Okay, so therefore that's all for today, and goodbye.